Are you tired of feeling like you have to compromise your integrity, do slimy, sleazy sales tactics in order to enroll those high ticket clients? What I'm going to talk about today is actually how to get ideal clients, how to get them consistently, how to attract high ticket leads, and without all the slimy, manipulative BS that most of the industry teaches, and really feeling aligned and in your integrity and actually having a successful business too. So, hi, I'm Jana Niksa, the Authentic Sales Coach. I teach coaches, consultants, healers, and service based entrepreneurs how to create high ticket offers that sell and then go about showing you how to do it. Not just the sales process, but actually how to embody a authentic sales conversation in a way that it actually just feels like that, a conversation. Okay. And so, when we think about sales, I want you to answer this question. What comes to mind? Like, does it make you go, oh, does it make you go, I wish I didn't have to do that? Or are you one of those unicorns out there that's like, I love it? Because I do run into those people. And the kicker is once my clients work with me and see that there's an entirely different way to do sales and to shift that entire sales baggage and that sales conversation into something that's actually quite sacred and quite beautiful, that all of a sudden they like it too. They say things like, hey, Melinda. They say things like, wow, Jana, that just felt like a conversation I would have with a friend. So I'm here to tell you that it is possible. And we're going to walk through some of the things that maybe haven't worked for you in the past and why they feel the way they do and what you can do instead. Okay. So if this sounds like you, stick around. Definitely let me know in the comments. This is a live. So if you have questions about anything as we go, let me know and I'm happy to dive deeper. Okay. So thank you for being here. All right. Now, one thing I really like to point out when I'm speaking to my clients about sales is if you think about traditional sales that makes most of you go, ugh, it's something that is operating below what I like to call below the line. So for those of you that don't know, this is the Hawkins scale, and it measures the vibrations of different emotions and the frequency of those vibrations in the body. And he has like documented it to show like quite literally, if you think about, oh, that's low vibe, like it really is. Like the lower here on the scale, we have the lower types of emotions like guilt and shame and grief, right? And then the high vibe is again exactly what you would think. You've got joy, you've got love, peace, right? And so when I started understanding, I have decades of sales experience under my belt, and it became something called unconscious competence. And what that is it got to the point in my career where I was like, I don't really know how I'm doing this. I'm not sure what I'm even doing, but it's working, and it's working far better than what they were teaching me and what a lot of my counterparts were doing. However, now as a sales coach, I've given this a great deal of thought so that I could really help my clients um, really find their way to do what I was doing so successfully. And it led me to this scale because when I say things below the line and above the line, if you look here, if I can get out of your way, you can see that anything done below the line, this line being neutrality, is done with force, and AKA fear, AKA ego. Okay. Anything done above the line is you and your power. It's you and your higher mind in your heart space. And if you think about, I mean, we won't get into all the two states of being today, but you're either operating from this space or operating from this space all the time. And we'll switch, right? Like sometimes we're up here for a little bit and then we dip down, somebody cuts us off in traffic, then we come back up here, yada, yada. And, there's a lot of this, but the key is to make the fluctuations less and less and going higher and higher as we evolve consciously, right? So, where does the old school sales model live? Below this line. It's based in fear tactics, right? It's based in pride, FOMO, manipulation, even guilt. I've heard people being guilted into buying people's things, which, if you think of that, about that at face value, it makes no sense. Would you ever want to force, manipulate, convince, or guilt or shame somebody into working with you? How well do you think that's going to work out long term? How well of a foundation is for that relationship? Okay. So you're setting yourself up and your client, frankly, for failure when you're operating down here, because immediately they have buyer's remorse. Immediately they become resentful. Immediately they start losing trust in you. And next thing you know, not only are you not helping them in the way you wanted to, they aren't getting the results either. Okay. So we don't want to play down here. And this is where bro marketing and sales lives. And this is why you don't like it. It feels slimy and gross and icky because it is. And I'm here to tell you, after 40,000 sales calls and 21 years in sales, and now years of sales coaching and helping hundreds of clients, that you don't have to do this stuff. You don't have to manipulate people into working with you. In fact, as I said before, that unconscious competence that I had was me being in my power, me being authentic, which actually isn't even on this chart, because authenticity vibrates at 400 times love. So it's like up here. And what I realized in my sales conversations is, when I was authentic and when I actually cared about the person in front of me and wasn't looking at them like a dollar sign, but actually looking at them like, let me know more about your problem and let me be honest, like, about whether or not I can solve it, and like truly showing up for them and not for me in my ego, these sales conversations went far more effortlessly. So the key isn't ever about what do I need to say to get the person to do the thing I want them to do. And the key is, how do I keep this conversation above the line? How do I stay in my power and in service and in love and in my higher mind, and not dip down into here? So it's not what you're saying, ladies and gentlemen. It's how you're saying it and who you are. So all this time, all these sales coaches and business coaches are like, here's your script, but they don't teach you any of the important pieces that matter. And that's listening and being empathetic and truly connecting and like fully understanding the person's needs and where they are. Not, here's what you need to say to get them to buy. And so that is how you start to differentiate yourself in the high ticket sales conversation. Because when you can show up fully focused and present and in your power and in your, look, I know I have something that's great that helps a lot of people, and I'm very convicted with how well I do that. But I really am just curious. I want to know, from a place of full non-attachment and neutrality, what's up with you? What's going on? Right? How long has this been happening? And I want to really come in with that level of curiosity and neutrality, and not trying to find, how do I say the thing to make them do what I want them to do? Because the truth is, if you can stay in your conviction and in your passion, and simultaneously in curiosity, in non-attachment, there's so much that can be done on the call. But as soon as you dip into, how do I make them do what I want to do, then you're letting ego run the show and fear. And so I could say the very same thing, but because I'm in this higher space, in my higher mind, if it would almost seem crazy to challenge people the way I have, because I'm actually helping them overcome their fears. But I can do it because they can sense the energy that I'm actually there to help them make the decision they already desire to make, not convince them to buy my thing. And so when you operate from that space and you've built that rapport because you've kept it above the line, there's so much more you can say to help them really make the decision that they know they want to make, but they're just afraid to. And we can all sense when somebody starts making it about making the sale. Like you can feel it when it shifts and you're like, oh, now they're getting in fear and they just want me to buy. And so this is the kicker in how to do that. And I do a lot of practices with my clients so that they know no matter what, when they show up in this way and also in that full surrender and trust, that they cannot lose the right client. Imagine walking into a sales call and knowing that and really giving it up to things always happen as they should. And it's always happening for me. And then they're just fully in their power and able to express and share and listen and serve. There's nothing manipulative about it. And that's why my clients come out after going through the process with me and they enjoy sales. They go from quite literally hating sales to fully enjoying it. And that's because they know now they're operating from an entirely different level of consciousness. Okay. And so that's the biggest piece of why it all feels so icky is because we've just been doing it at a lower consciousness level. So that's point one. Now, the hardest part about all of this is you still have other pieces of this puzzle, right? Like in order to get somebody on a sales call, like you really want to have an offer that you know they want and are willing to invest in. So, if we're walking through my six-figure blueprint, that is step one. A lot of people don't think that's that important. They just start creating content and just kind of hoping. And, it's like, where are you leading them? And they're like, I don't know. I was just told to be consistent and add value. And I'm like, but if you're not leading them with the content and the messaging to your offer, then what's the point? Right? People don't buy because you put up a pretty quote. That's not how this game works. Maybe it did in 2014. I don't know, but certainly not now. So step one of the six-figure blueprint is get that offer validated and make sure that it's something that your ideal client wants and is willing to invest in, and that you've created it with them in mind and what they want and not what you want to teach, right? And so then step two is, okay, now I've got this incredible offer. Hey, Malika. And what do we do next? Well, next is the offer's only as good as the messaging. So it's all about now learning how to go out and effectively communicate, not just about your offer directly, and that's really key, but to effortlessly communicate a messaging around your offer and why what they need is so important and why what they're missing is essentially what's in your offer, right? But I very rarely, and you can see it on my post or even my clients, like this isn't about just posting your offer everywhere. It's actually about taking them on a customer buying journey and leading them through a simple sales process. Because if you just go, I've created an offer, here it is, like you haven't given people, you haven't established the need for what you have and helped drive their desire of wanting it. And so that's what your content is there for. So you're cultivating problem awareness, you're cultivating solution awareness, you're activating their desire, and you're also establishing the need for what you have to offer. So that's step two. Then step three is a lot of what we talked about, right? Now you have their attention, you've packaged it in a way that they're following along. And then it's about getting them on a call so that you can truly connect with them, hear what's all going on, and decide if it's a good fit for both of you. You get to hold on to your power because what you have to offer is massive for the right person and detrimental to the wrong person. So we have to be selective. And I don't mean your offer is ever going to hurt anybody. That's not my point. But if they're not a good fit, it's not a good fit. So we don't want to work with everybody, which again keeps us in our power. The messaging, yes, has been such an eye opener. Exactly. Because if we're not clear on where we're taking them, if we're not showing how to establish that need and open up that gap that our offer then fits beautifully in, our content is just being consistent and adding value, but not taking people through the proper steps to want to hop on a call with you and then invest in your program. Okay. So then, now hear me on this. Then, once we have those pieces lined up, then we throw more leads at it. And so everybody seems to go about this backwards. They're like, I just need leads, leads, leads. But they don't have an offer that's validated. Their message is way off. It's not resonating. And they don't even know what they would do if they got them on a sales call. So by default, energetically, they're repelling leads. But once you get these other ducks in a row, so to speak, as best you can, let's be real, it's always going to be a work in progress. I like to tell my clients, it's like, you're operating a sailboat. The path, but you're always maybe a little to the left and maybe a little to the right, tweaking, rinse, refining, repeating. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but to just go out and start generating leads for leads sake. I mean, that's what influencers do. And I've worked with a lot of them that are broke because they don't know how to create an offer and they don't know how to bring people through a simple sales process. So those are the tweaks I would make, right? I would start with the offer first, solving the problem they want solved, and go about learning how to communicate about it, and then having them hop on a call. And so when you put those three things together, think about it. You have a $10,000 offer. You only need 10 people a year to say yes to get to six figures. So all of a sudden, I just want you to think about all the other things that you're doing that somebody's told you are important. Like, you got to build a massive email list, and you got to have a bunch of freebies, and you got to do the landing page, and you got to be, a content guru and an editor and, a copyright. Like, all that stuff starts to go by the wayside because now you're focused on the main pieces, the gaps, those that actually make any strategy work. But without them, it's like you're putting the cart before the horse. So yeah, I think that's Melinda. Oh my gosh, I was doing that, and I also realized I was posting. Yes, I did it too. That's why I can speak to this, you guys. Like, I thought as long as I was being consistent and adding value, that eventually, even though I was a sales coach, hello, the irony, that eventually people would just like want to hop on a call. And that's not how this works. There's a process, there is a strategy backing up that so that we understand how to get them to the call. Without that, it's just like post and pray. And we're just not at the time, like I said before, maybe 10 years ago, that was enough, but it's not anymore. We have to be more calculated and more strategic. And not, let me be clear, as the authentic sales coach, not because we are trying to be manipulative or because we're trying to do anything other than get the attention of our ideal client in a very loud, fast moving, busy space, and then demonstrate to them how we can help them with the problem that they already want to solve. And so I just want to leave you with that, because at the end of the day, sales isn't pushy, sleazy, or any of that. When you come from this higher space and you truly are there to help people that need your help. We're not selling ice to Eskimo here. So I want you to really sit with that and own the transformation that you provide. This isn't about convincing. This is about understanding how to create an offer your ideal client wants and knowing how to communicate it about Communicate it to them in a way that they understand it. And when you are able to do that and not be afraid to get on a sales call with them, 10 clients, less than one per month. I mean, 100K business is not far away at all. So thank you all so much for joining. Yeah, I love seeing all of you guys show up in the chat. Thank you so much. I will just open it up really quick. If anyone has any questions, I do have a couple more minutes, and I'm happy to address really based on anything I shared today. And then if you want, or if you're watching this in the replay, definitely drop your question below, and I will do another live where I, address maybe a different part of the sales process, or maybe the specifics around handling objections or whatever it may be. Follow-up's a big one I get. But just remember, at the end of the day, focus on who you're being. Focus on what's in it for them. And I really appreciate you listening, and you're welcome. Thank you. Please share this with somebody else that needs to hear it. I hear all the time in my space, oh, sales, oh, sales. So who is that entrepreneur, that coach that that really needs to have a perspective shift around what this is? Because sales is the lifeline of your business. In one way or another, you're going to have to tackle it if you want to hit those income goals that you want to hit. So thank you again. Please subscribe. I go live here every Thursday at 3:30 Eastern time, and I will see you all next week. Bye for now.